Hi all, I'm Jeanette Keynes from Jewelry Arts Inc. In this video, I'm going to show you how to safely set an opal in a bezel setting using glue. Oh, I know, shocker, but we don't use glue because we don't want to bother to set. We use it just to increase the safety of the opal. So tune in and I'll explain all about it. So we put a little wire in there to raise this up because the bottom of this opal is a little, curvy, and sanded it down. We basically put it in and out. As always, when you're setting, you put it in, you look, you take it out, you look, you do a little, you look, until we're really happy with the height. A lot of people have this thing where they think, and this is totally logical, by the way, they think the opal's fragile, right? So I want to set it low in the setting and cover it up with the bezel to protect it. And actually what happens, you do that and you break your stone. So with an opal, you don't want a lot of metal showing over it. You just want enough to catch it and that's it. Because most opals don't break when you're wearing them. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you do something crazy, you can break it. Most of the time, if it lives through the setting process, you're good. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's more about that. So if you can look, I'll just kind of hold it down with my finger and maybe Alexis can sort of get a shot of what we're going for there. I mean, this is a cabochon, it's domed, but we don't have a huge amount of metal that's going to be forced over the top. And we've talked about this before. There's so many things in jewelry making that make total logical, rational sense, but they're wrong. So the only way you know these things is to test them. Because if I said to you, well, what should we do with something fragile? We should set it down and put metal around it so that it's more protected. You go, yes, of course we should do that. But then in reality, So we have the right height. I've taped everything around because I'm sure you've heard me say it a million times. No matter how hard we try not to slip, every now and then you're going to slip. Much better to just protect it and, not get any damage. This is the 5-minute epoxy that we use. We just get this online, from Amazon or whatever. It holds remarkably strongly. So what you do when you're going to use glue when we set, and we use glue not so that that we're not going to set our stone. We're not going to just glue it in there and be like, we're done. We're going to put a tiny bit of glue in and then we'll set at the same time without let the glue drying. And what that's going to do is it prevents us from having to use quite so much force because opals are fragile. You know how sometimes the stone's in there and it's still wiggling a little and you're like, oh, I'm going to, and you have to. You don't really want to do that with an opal. You want to be a little, sweet and nice to it. So that's what the glue does for us, is that. So what you want to do is have everything absolutely ready. We've got our bezel roller from the Master Bezel Setting Kit. Insert plug here. All ready to go. But you want to have something to mix the glue on and a paper clip or toothpick and a damp paper towel. When you add the glue and we press and we start setting, if we use too much or if it's just in the wrong spot, it can start to climb up and come out. If you wipe it off immediately, no problem whatsoever with a damp paper towel. The only time you're screwed is if you only notice later and then there's glue on there and it's very difficult to remove. You have to undo the whole thing and it's a real fucking problem. So that's why you never set up to glue and then go, oh shit, I need to get a paper towel, or oh shit, you have to have everything ready because this dries pretty fast. It's not the kind of thing where you can go take a phone call and then you know what I'm saying. Okay? That's why before I started doing all this blathering, I put everything here. I've got a couple dowels, I've got my setting tool, I've got this, I've got everything taped up. We have the stone at the right height, you know what I mean? Ready to launch. Okay? So with the glue, it's very important that you have an equal amount of both. So normally I don't put one on top of each other. I put them next to each other so that I can look at it and see if they're an equal amount.
Wait, why are you using two?
It's 2-part epoxy. It only does its thing when it's mixed together. Because if it isn't mixed in fairly equal parts, it won't really harden. It won't do its job. So you can't just sort of, put some in there and hope for the best. I mean, you can, but I don't recommend that. That looks pretty good. So then I'm just gonna mix them together with my toothpick. But that's why you put them next to each other, because then you can adjust. you put it on top, they're both clear. You won't know how much of one or the other you have. And remember that mixing up, you know, that really creates that chemical reaction. So make sure you mix it up well. You don't want to just kind of give it one swirl and then you're done. Because this is what creates the heat and creates the bond. Okay, so that should be good. I'm gonna put that there. I'm gonna pull the stone out. Now, this one does not, but a lot of times with stones, you've got something on the very bottom, like something, I mean, we've got our little wire. You're not trying to glue your stone to whatever you have underneath, because a lot of times that's actually not fixed in there, so it won't help you any. So just remember to put a dot or two of glue on the side of the bezel, so that when it goes in there and you push it against there, that's what's really gonna hold it. Okay, so I've got my fancy tool there with my tiny little bit of it on there. Like however much glue you're imagining, like cut it back by 1 billion. You know what I mean? Because too much and it's all just gonna like ooze out as you're setting and it'll be kind of oogie. You don't want that. So usually just like in a couple little spots like that along the side, and that should be good. Pro tip, take this and put it out of your way so you don't stick your elbow in it like a jackass, which is something I've never done, you know, where you lean to set and then you do this. Yeah, that's pro, don't do that, don't do that. Okay, press the stone in. I'm gonna stand up because I set better standing up because I'm short, and I'm gonna start setting immediately. And we don't really have any sharp corners, so I'm just gonna start with the areas that have the most space showing. And remember, you hold the tool in the palm of your hand, thumb and your forefinger on either side, like so.
And so while you're doing this, the glue is drying.
Exactly. And that's why you put the glue in and you start fucking setting. Do not dick around. Because if you do, the glue will dry, holding the bezel away from the stone.
Oh, nice.
You see what I'm saying? So you do not want that. And I'll probably also use one of your straight setters right next to that jump ring, maybe, you know what I mean, to get into that little spot. But you see what I mean? How it's all coming together. I'm sorry, I keep spinning it around. For those of you watching it from the top. It may make you a little seasick. But you see, I mean, it doesn't really take that much. Thank you so much. That's why, by the way, that's what these straight setters are for. When you have those tight little spots, you can get right in there like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a little bit more and then we're done. I mean, that's the great thing. Everything about this is prep. Once you actually go to do it, it'll take you like maybe 5 minutes. Because I'm just working my way around and I'm looking for any place where I see a little space. You know, I want that nice and tight against there. Okay. So I'm going to give it to you and I want you just to do a little bit, but basically we're there-ish. And I'm also going to take my paper towel, and because I think right there, you see that little shiny spot? I think there's a tiny bit of glue coming up right there, which again, no big deal. You just wipe it off like so. It's just if you notice it afterward, you just know that you're screwed. Okay, so I want you to do this just a little bit more. Like I said, this is really, you could stop, but I would say just do a little bit more. And then basically the only step after that, we'll take a Swifty wheel, you know, and shine up the top and make it all gorgeous. And that's it.
Great.